the Center for Social Research in Delhi. I'm the director, and we've been working on these issues in India for a long time, for the last 30 years, in fact. My question to you, Prime Minister Modi, is that a lot has been said about women and women's empowerment in India, and everybody is keen to know what is your stand on women's empowerment, on women and the girl child, and especially progressive India, which the dream of India, of a progressive India that we have. What is your thinking on the role of women and of girl children in that country, in that vision? There are two aspects, and I think there's some people who may not like this, but when Mark spoke about the temple, I think I should say something. I mean, I do want to share an anecdote as well.
दुनिया में भगवान की कल्पना सभी समाजों में है.
All societies all over the world have some conception of God. Every society has that belief. But in most societies, the gods are male. I think every society. I think India is the only country where we have a female as a goddess.
Durga.
You have Durga, you have Saraswati, you have Amba, Kali. So, the values, the fundamental values that we have is where a woman is economic goals, then we cannot do that if we imprison 50% of our population inside their homes.
Is 50% Nari Shakti.
This 50% of our population, the female power of our population, must become, we must have 100% partnership with them. They must walk shoulder to shoulder with us. And this has to be the focus of the government's policies, and we are trying to achieve that.
Education le lijiye.
Now, whether you look at education in India today, you look at health, what we see is that for a male, you will actually have to make a reservation. So what I mean to say is that if you call people and have a meeting on education, there would be 800 women, and there will only be 200 men. I think as far as education is concerned, a lot of it is today in the hands of women. Now, if you look at the health sector, if you do any conference on the health sector today, you will again find a very large number of women represented there. You will find a large number of women in the nursing staff and the paramedical staff. In fact, women have literally taken over these jobs. We've recently taken decisions regarding the police department. We have certain union territories over which the central government has direct jurisdiction. We have reservation over there for women now in the police. And I think there are many countries in the world today where it's very difficult for women to win elections. Even in countries that are highly educated, you see that. But in India, in the electoral process, you have many states where in the local governments you have a 50% reservation for women. So if you have 100 people who are there in the local body, you will certainly have 50 women, and that's not a small thing.
Parliament, Assembly में भी
in the Parliament, we are having a debate that we should bring in women there also and make sure that they have a participation in legislation. And I certainly can say that we will have to achieve one thing. as far as female empowerment is concerned, and that is to bring in women into decision making. It's not simply enough for them to be home builders in the sense of deciding what color the walls should have. They should be able to decide in the real building of it. Only then can the country move ahead.
और इस दिशा में अब जैसे हमने एक अभियान चलाया बेटी बचाओ.
We've recently had the campaign of Educate the Girl Child, Save the Girl Child. And in fact, when I was
45
Chief Minister of Gujarat, in fact, in the month of May, we have a 45 degrees Celsius temperature.
50 in June
in June and on the 12th of June 2013, 14, 15, I used to go to the villages. I used to go there. I used to go from house to house. I used to tell the people there, you must send your daughters to school. You must educate them. And I was able to achieve 100% education for girls. And my aim today is that we need to push this campaign, Save the Girl Child, Educate the Girl Child. And there are many such programs that the government has. For instance, if we have a scheme for giving housing to the poor, one of the conditions is that the owner of that house must first of all be a woman, and the second name would be that of the man. Earlier, when we used to admit children to school, the father's name used to be written on the admission form, and in Gujarat, I made it compulsory that along with the father's name, you must mention the mother's name as well. So the mindset that we've had in the past, the way of thinking in society, is something that we must overcome, we must change. As far as the economic governance is concerned, I think all these things are something that we will change, and I do think a change is happening. A very big change is already happening.
All right, so for our next one, I want to ask you a personal question. People may not realize this, but there's actually a number of things that we have in common. One of them is that family is very important to me and to both of us. And in fact, both my parents are actually here today. So welcome, guys. They'd rather come watch you than they're right here. They're right here. Now, I understand that your mother is very important in your life. So I'm hoping that you'll tell us a bit about her.
मैं उन माँ बाप को बहुत बधाई देता हूँ.
I'd really like to congratulate the parents of Mark for actually giving birth to Mark and actually giving birth to someone who has managed to link the world. Congratulations.
I request, will you please stand up? Would like to see you.
Could you please stand up? We'd like to see you.
और मुझे लगता है शायद ये पहली घटना होगी कि मार्क ने आज आप.
I think this is probably the first occasion that Mark's actually invited you to.
हर किसी के जीवन में, आप किसी भी व्यक्ति के जीवन में देखें.
I think if you look at anyone's lives, if you look at their autobiographies, generally you find two things are always there. One would be what was the role of my teacher in my life, and what was the role of my mother in my life. I think that's true of everybody. I come from a very humble family. My parents played a very big role in my life. I came from a very poor family. You probably know that I used to sell tea at the railway station. Nobody could have, I think no one can imagine that.
कि दुनिया की इतनी बड़ी डेमोक्रेसी ने एक चाय बेचने.
It's hard to imagine that a tea seller has actually become the leader of the world's biggest democracy.
और इसलिए मैं सबसे पहले उन 125 करोड़ भारतवासियों को नमन करता हूं.
And I'd like to salute the millions, billions of citizens of India who
अपना बना
made a commoner like me one of them.
बहुत सामान्य परिवार में से कैसे गुजारा करना.
And of course, there's also the question of when you come from a humble background, how do you manage?
हमारे पिताजी तो रहे नहीं है.
My father, of course, is no longer with us.
माता जी है
My mother is
से भी
still there. She's over 90 years old now.
ये अपने सारे काम खुद करती है।
She does everything herself. Even now, she does all her work herself.
पढ़ी लिखी नहीं है।
She's not educated.